I've been black in life.
I'm Jamie Britt.
And I'm Heath Britt.
And together we are E14. We have 40 years of naval service.
And each week we discuss a potpourri of topics, which we like to call smoke pit topics.
These are real world topics that concern us, our marriage, and our Navy with a sailor twist.
So join us each week
as we dive into the deep end.
Booyah!
Welcome everybody back to the E14 podcast. Again, I'm solo on the host side. My wife Jamie's doing her chief select thing, playing those shenanigans. But that's all right. I got a great American here with me to help beef it up. So with me today is Sylvester Jenkins III. Sylvester, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thanks, Heath. I greatly appreciate you having me on the show today, man. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, me too, brother. I really. Not only are you a vet, you're an author, you're a motivator, you're a little bit of everything, man. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, a little about your background.
Absolutely, man. So I'm originally from Columbus, Georgia. Grew up in a single parent home, gang and drug infested neighborhood. Dealt with a lot of hardships during that time frame. As a young boy, you deal with the circumstances in a single parent home as far as that toxic masculinity, dealing with the emotional neglect, identity issues, and so many things. So, of course, I found myself in a position where I started looking for acceptance in other places that was wrong, like gangs. And along that process, they became like a surrogate family to me. Right. So I got involved in drugs, alcohol, started breaking into people's homes, failed multiple times at school, had a lot of downhill spiral situations, man, that caused me to just have a lot of doubt in myself. And I joined the military at the age of 19 to try to get away from home. I joined the Army. And that was even a challenge in itself by alone, just because of the ASVAB, right? Failed the ASVAB multiple times. Initially, I tried to join the Navy. I failed the ASVAB. Next thing you know, I tried to join the Air Force, failed the ASVAB again. Marines didn't even give me an opportunity. They said, we heard what you did with the Navy. We don't even want to give you a shot. And then all of a sudden, the Army, hey, we got you, brother. Come on down. Take the test one more time. We're going to make sure you get in. And that's what happened. But I found myself in a position where I was still a product of my environment, man. I was still out there doing drugs. I got multiple Article 15s for those situations. Got into fights, had a fiance that I was supposed to marry, but she ended up getting pregnant by somebody else. So that was over. Found myself in a position where I did find love over again, but ended up in a divorce while I was deployed in Iraq. Came back home to nothing, had to start all over from scratch. So I call myself the bounce back expert because I faced it, lived through it, grew through it, and became who I am today. So that's a little bit about my background and where I am today. But today, I'm a motivational speaker, an author, a mental health advocate. So I empower the next generation to become resilient leaders that triumph and succeed in life by helping them win the battle within, because everybody got it in them. So I just help people to unleash their inner warrior.
I love it. So what do you think kept motivating you to bounce back? Because dude, you went through hell.
Yeah.
And some of it was self-induced. I mean, the drugs and everything,
absolutely.
but it was it was a result of stuff that wasn't your fault. It just built up over time. So what motivates you just to keep getting back up?
So my mother, man, she was a champion in my eyes. So she was like the guiding light for me with everything, because she was a teen pregnancy. She became a mother at the age of 16. So she never really had no true education when it came down to graduating high school, going to college or anything like that. So she was real hard on us, me and my siblings, as far as education in itself. And like I said, I failed school multiple times and almost dropped out my senior year. But I never wanted to let her down in any kind of way, because I knew the sacrifices that she made. And it just like resonated with me so much to see her fall down several times and get back up 8. So the level of resilience was already in me because I seen the sacrifices that my mother made. So I never wanted to let her down. And I just wanted to change the narrative for my family, man. You know, I got 4 kids, 3 boys and 1 girl. I never had a blueprint at what it looked like to be a man, a father, a husband, or anything like that. So of course, whenever you have children, it changed the whole dynamics of your perception on life in general. So you try to do everything that you can to be the best, not only for them, but your wife as well. So those are a lot of things that kept me or propelled me to go to the next level, man.
So what got you into motivational speaking? I mean, I I think it's because is it life experiences?
Oh man, that was crazy in itself. To be honest with you, I never found myself at that level of being a motivational speaker or anything like that. You know, as a senior enlisted, you always try to, pump up your soldiers and
Right.
encourage them to be the best that they can be, try to go out here and do phenomenal things, man. But I never found myself doing that outside of the military in general. So when I wrote my first book, which was A Quick Cure to Successful Leadership, I went on a podcast and I told a person my story. And when I told him my story, after we got off, he was like, man, your story is so inspiring. Have you ever thought about being a motivational speaker? I said, man, I never thought about it a day in my life, never crossed my mind at no point in time. And then he was like, man, I promise you, if you share your story with other people, you will bring them a sense of hope, inspiration, motivation, all these things. And then he said, and you can get paid for it too. So not only can you make an impact, but you can make some income behind it as well. So I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, man, you only got to talk for X amount of time. It doesn't take a lot of your day, but you're bringing so much life to individuals who have lost that sense of hope. And I was like, man, that's impactful. So I looked into it, connected with a lot of people who was already in the game, found me a coach. And the next thing you know, I started going to high school, colleges, even, military installations and talking to them about my story and telling them everything that I did in order to prevail and just become greater than where they were.
That's great. So how many years did you do in the Army?
So I did 21 years, man, just retired in 2020. That sucked as well, man, because I retired the same month of the pandemic.
Right. You didn't get no ceremony.
I didn't get no ceremony, man. Got a pat on the back. Hey, we'll see you when we see you.
Slap on the butt. Good luck.
Yeah. Everybody was still trying to figure it out, all the other things, man. So it sucked.
But in those 21 years, you saw a change in generations, right? How you were as a kid. Absolutely. And then when you got 10 years, maybe you're a staff sergeant or whatever, you're an E6, right. You noticed, hey, the kids are a little different than when I joined. And then at 20 years, you're like, wow, they're way different.
Right.
So what is your approach to when you're trying to talk to these kids in schools, like you said, what is your approach to gain that buy-in from them? Because they're what bought you in 20 years or 30 years ago, don't buy in kids now. So how do you stay in the times?
Yeah, stay abreast with everything that's transpiring. So I got teenagers, man, and they pretty much hip me to everything that's going on, the latest and the greatest. But just having a level of empathy, man, just taking that opportunity to really see their world from where they are right now. And it's totally changed from when we were younger. Mm-hmm. Like we had to go outside. We didn't have that opportunity to connect with people online. We came up in an era before tablets, cell phones, and all these other things. So we had to really interact with people face to face. Nowadays, social media is destroying our youth, man. Yeah, it's like literally telling them this fairy tale of what they should live like in society when it's fictional. It's not true. Yeah. So for me, I just try to do the best I can to provide them that Wi-Fi, get them connected with what life is really like, to bring that true light to what goes on in reality so they can live the true life that they're supposed to, man, because everybody was born with a purpose, right? Everybody was meant to serve at some capacity, and everybody has it in them. I always tell people about the FedEx logo, right? You've seen it all your life, but then when you look in between the E and the X, there's an arrow. Once you see that arrow, you'll see it for the rest of your life. And that's unleashing that inner warrior that you always had inside of you.
That's true. I noticed that arrow probably a year ago.
Right.
On the FedEx label. I was like, damn, that was an arrow the whole time?
The whole time.
I get it. No, that's making them see what they normally don't see.
Right.
Opening their eyes, opening their mind, and think for themselves so that not everything they see on a cell phone screen.
Absolutely.
Well, you said, I'm going to rewind a little bit. You said something about you got a coach?
Yeah.
When you first started, they kind of showed you the ropes, or is that?
Man, let me tell you something. Everybody need a coach. Everybody need a mentor. Don't sit out here and try to reinvent the wheel or do it on your own, man. Find you somebody who's already been there, done that, successful behind what they're doing, and latch on to them. Pick their brain, figure out everything they did in order to be successful where they are. I think a lot of times, like in the military, we find those mentors in order to continue to succeed in our career. You need to do that when you transition as well. When you find in that career that you want to jump into, do the same thing. And I did that when it came down to it. So I found me a coach. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's like the #1 motivational speaker in high school, right? High schools, named Jeremy Anderson. Jeremy Anderson. If you get an opportunity, look the guy up, man. He's phenomenal. He was a protege up under Eric Thomas.
Okay.
So he was one of his students when he was first coming out. And the dude is phenomenal, man. Like, he taught me how to break down my message. He taught me how to incorporate the business, contracts, and everything else, man. And we meet up like at least once a month where he just showed me the ropes or continue to, develop my skills when it comes down to motivational speaking. So, I mean, that's the best thing you can do whenever you jump into any kind of field that you have no clue about.
Awesome. I want to go switch gears real quick, because I want to make sure everybody understands that you are a kick-ass author.
Thank you.
When your latest Combat to Comeback, I actually had the pleasure of reading it, or actually audiobook. It's easier when I'm riding around.
Right.
I tell you what, if anybody's listening, got a chance to get that, please get it, because there's a lot of good information in there. Whether you're a military, civilian, you think about the title Combat to Comeback, you think it's military. No, it's for any walk of life.
Any walk.
Any person that can understand the words coming at you, the author, not the reader, the narrator's mouth. If you're audio in my book, or the words on the book, it can help them.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's so much packed full of good information for everybody, whether you're coming up a young man or you're a millionaire.
Right.
It can help anybody out. And that's, right. I just want to talk about some other books. I know Jamie has one of your books too, my wife. So what's some other, how many have you written so far?
So I've written self-published 4 books. I've written A Quick Cure to Successful Leadership, Winning the Battle Within, The Compass, Leaders Navigate Change, and then this latest one, From Combat to Comeback, How to Conquer the Battles of Adversity.
What was the first one you wrote? The Compass?
The first one I wrote was A Quick Cure to Successful Leadership.
That's right. What made you want to do that? Is this something hit you? Is like it took over you?
To be honest with you, man, like I never found myself in that position of becoming an author at no point in time. From my background, childhood, upbringing, and everything else, never found myself in a position of becoming an author. Last thing on my brain. I'm from the hood, so I'm like, man, brothers don't, write no books or nothing like that, man. Like, that ain't how we get down. I ain't Poindexter. So but what happened was, once the pandemic hit, I made that transition from the military. I found myself at a dark place. The pandemic was going on, so jobs were scarce. So I just couldn't jump right back into the field of an occupation. I had a wife and 4 kids. My wife, she lost her job during the pandemic. And so it was just my retirement check. I hadn't received my VA disability. So it was just like that little chunk of change. So supposed to support me and my 4 kids. It's not going to happen.
It ain't a lot.
Yeah, it's not a lot. So, it's always dealing with those stresses, the anxiety, the depression, man, as far as not having a sense of purpose no more because you're in a whole new world. So I dealt with that, man, that battle, that struggle. So that winning, the battle within, oh man, I had to develop those skills of resilience, man, in order to prevail dealing with those circumstances. So what I did, I started journaling. I started writing about my life, figuring out who I was, because I asked myself a simple question. You want to be the best husband, you want to be the best father, you want to be the best leader while you was in the military, but who are you for yourself? Who are you for yourself? And I noticed I lost myself. I lost myself to the point I didn't know who I was. And the only way I was able to find myself was that I had to write it down. I started writing down everything about me from my childhood. That's why you was able to know so much about me and From Combat to Comeback. All those things that went on and experienced in my life, I was able to recognize, reflect on it, and release it because it wasn't no good for me. All those habits, all those circumstances, all that trauma, all those grudges, the resentment, everything that I dealt with, I noticed it. I found my trigger. I mastered myself in order to become an author. And when I let my wife read all that stuff, she was like, hey, this is real good. She was like, it's so good that you need to put it like out to the world, because there are other people dealing with the same things you're dealing with. And of course, you know, you have that inner critic, that person on your shoulder telling you can't do this, you're not good enough, and all these other things, man. So, you know, I just pulled the trigger. I said, man, I'm gonna take a leap of faith. I'm gonna just jump out there and see what happens. And when I did, man, it became an Amazon bestseller.
Just like that.
Just like that.
But the only person that was holding you back at the time was you.
Yeah, that's it. Nobody else, man. Like, the biggest enemy that you'll ever face in life is yourself. Nobody else. People can sit here and talk to their lungs collapse, but the person who got to take those actions, those steps, who allow those things to happen is you. Nobody will see your worth unless you see it first.
That's great. That's a great point, because that, I guarantee you, 90% of the human beings, that's the biggest problem with the human beings themselves.
Absolutely.
Nobody else, because most people won't want to support you.
Yeah.
And they want to be honest. If they like it, they're probably being honest with you. Yeah. And you just need to get off your butt and finish it.
That's it. So I'm open to corrective criticism, or open to people's opinion, because people matter, man. Overall, in a nutshell, people matter, right?
They do.
But the only way you get better, if you choose to take that criticism and turn it into a fuel in order to prepare you to that next level, to get you going. Because sometimes somebody might say, this don't sound too good. You might need to change up here, or you might need to change up there. And sometimes you can take that criticism if it's a trusted individual. Let me say that first. If it's somebody of value, you know, like-minded and all those things, you can take that and, you know, work on those areas that they pointed out to you. Like I said, with a coach, or you can find those people who just hating on you, man. I love haters. Don't get it twisted now. I love haters. So I thank God for what I'm doing. I thank my mother for what I'm doing. I thank my wife, my family, but I also thank my haters, because they prepare me to keep going, because I want to show them that, hey, whatever you say, don't hurt me, man. I promise you, I keep going because of them. They, hey, man, I can go on for days and days about my haters, man, because they out there.
And they do. They keep you motivated. They keep just to prove their ass wrong.
Absolutely, man.
I mean, for any other reason, just to prove their ass wrong.
Absolutely. They see something in you that they don't see in themselves. So they just want to block your shine, man. Don't let them do it, though.
What kind of stuff have you learned from writing these books? And you've had success. I mean, you've done well with it.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, God bless you. You've done great with it, and you should. But what have you learned? Did you learn a lot about yourself?
Absolutely, man. I learned so much about myself, man. When I said I mastered myself, I learned so much. I learned patience. I learned just, you know, who I was in general, man. Self-regulation, the self-motivation. I learned that I have a lot of things inside of me, man, that I never thought that I had before. It takes you on a whole nother scale. Like, I honestly think you and Jamie should write a book, man, dealing with what y'all got going on.
I've thought about it, honestly.
Yeah,
I know thinking's only part of it, but I think anybody that's joined the military could probably write a book.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because I know y'all got some stories along y'all journey dealing with a lot of things that y'all experienced in transitioning from one location to the next location, dealing with y'all relationship, dealing with starting the podcast, man. These things takes courage that a lot of people don't have. And to hear your story dealing with this stuff, especially if you impact it with like a book, or Audible, or whatever it might be, a platform, like what, man, I'm telling you, you guys should do it.
I should. We should sit down. Maybe she gets done with the season. We can sit down and do that. Plus, you know, man, when 2 months after we got married, she deployed for a year.
Right. I went through that too.
I mean,
it sucked.
Yeah, it sucked. It does. There's no other word you can say.
There's no other words you can say, man. I got to be real, man. You got to be 100 with people when it comes down to that.
Right.
It sucks. But it's, you know what I'm saying? It's possible to work through it and to get to a point.
Easily possible.
Yeah.
You just got, it's tough and you're going to have your spats, and there's nothing wrong with there's nothing worse than a spat over freaking texting or Instagram or Facebook 6,000 miles away.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than that. You got to just be like, look, I can't do this right now. I cannot fight.
Absolutely.
We'll fight later.
Yeah.
Fight when you get back and we can do face to face. That's not fight over social media. But, I mean, it's possible though. Like, hey, look, we paid off a lot of debt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things come out of it too. When you were, let's go back to when motivational. So what, have you walked in some challenging situations as a motivational speaker? Like maybe a school or whatever's jacked up or the student body's got issues. Has that happened to you in your experience?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to say this because your fear will keep you out of rooms that you're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
Let me say that for you again. Your fear will keep you out of rooms that you're supposed to be in. And I had a situation occur, and this was on something else dealing with me talking to an older crowd, right? It was, when I say an older crowd, this was when I was initially starting to do these things, right? As far as speaking. So I didn't care where I spoke that when I initially started. I just wanted to get the reps in to develop my message and really get out there, put my name out there, develop that trust. So I went to this, a Rotary Club, right? These people.
So they're older.
Yeah, they're older. So about Rotary.
Yeah. We did some stuff when I was in the Navy, like, some volunteer helping with ramps and stuff for the older people to get up and down the buildings.
Yeah. So I go into this room, they're older crowd, they roughly in their, I say early 50s to late 70s, somewhere around there, man. This whole group of people, and I'm the only person of color in the room.
Uh-oh. So you're, first of all, to them, you're a kid because you're young compared to them. And then you're the only brother in the place.
Yeah.
Let's get real.
The only brother in the place. So of course I'm already intimidated just due to the fact of those two things right there. So I'm starting to talk myself out of going into the room. Oh man, you don't deserve to be here. Oh man, like, why are you gonna come in here? What you gonna tell these people? How you supposed to impact them? How you supposed to inspire them? So of course I had developed that level of fear and was kind of hesitant about going in there. And then I'm like, nah, man, you got to go in here. You got to make it happen. That one little small thing. It's like, you asked for this. You said you wanted to be here. Now that the opportunity permitted itself, you trying to turn away from that? Come on, man. Let's get this, man. Let's go out here and do it. And I went in there, told my message, shared my story. And the next thing you know, man, the oldest person in the room, this dude had a cane. He walked up to me and he was like, young man, he was like, your message was so impactful to me. And when he said that, I was like, whoa. He was like, I just want to thank you for sharing your message. Because, I told him my whole story, how I was selling drugs, how I was out there failing in school. So of course, I already was going through my head like, oh man, they just think I'm a product of my environment. They just think I'm fluff and all this stuff. They already thinking negative about me. But nah, man, so many people came up to me after the fact and gave me so much love, man. And I was like, wow, maybe this is it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. If they found something from it, let me go out here and see what I could do with the youngsters. Now, let me tell you something. Them youngsters, they're going to let you know.
Yeah, they tell the truth.
They're going to let you know. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. They gonna let you know. So you have to be abreast with what's going on in society right now, as far as their day and age. Like with the social media being hip to all the lingo, the clothes, the shoes, all these things, you have to make it relatable to them in some capacity. And a lot of times I talk about sports because everybody likes sports, right?
It's a universal language, man.
It's a universal language. So if I go in there and I talk about Tom Brady, everybody know who Tom Brady is. Everybody. I like, man, even if you're not a football fan, you know who Tom Brady is.
Right.
And I started to talk about his story, how he was the 6th round draft pick.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, the last person to get picked. Now he the greatest quarterback to ever play the game of football. You know what I'm saying? Like how he was ran the 40-yard dash, the second slowest time, how the Patriots were about to cut him, and they were like, for real? No way. And then they see where he is today. They don't know the journey it took for him to get there. Right. They don't know the grit, the tenacity, all the things he dealt with in order to be where he is today, the fight. So when you think about those things, man, and able to translate that to the youth, oh man, it take them to a whole nother level. You to open up a whole new world for them.
You gave them a story.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
Man.
the same thing. Like I had Devontae Lewis. He's actually played pro ball and he's in the Navy.
Right.
And he was like his favorite basketball player is Alverson.
Right. Yeah. AI.
And and I asked why. He said because he has a story.
He has a story.
He went to jail.
Yeah.
Things like that. And it wasn't. He didn't do nothing that bad, but they got hemmed up with some
I knew
stuff.
the story. Yeah.
And it's just about that struggle. People love a struggle.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're 14 or 84.
That's the thing. Yep.
They love that struggle. And if you can get that common ground with anybody, I guess that just opens up the window for you, opens up the door for you to be able to get in their hearts.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, I speak about who is that? Kobe Bryant, when he dealt with his little issue, he was one of the greatest. I talk about, I speak on like people that they know about nowadays, like Oprah Winfrey. All these people is in my book. Jay-Z. I go along with the story, talking about all these comeback stories, because these are people who I talk about whenever I'm giving my message. I talk about my life, but then I also talk about people that's like big in society nowadays that people heard about either in history books, sports, music, whatever it might be. And people will be like, wow, that's astounding, man. I never really knew that about that individual. And to hear your story combined with that, how you relate it, it's impactful.
I think that's awesome because you got the right idea of know your audience.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to know who you're talking to. Because I'm sure you did a lot of research because you don't know everybody's daggone story. Because especially when you got into, combat to comeback, you had a lot of stories in there about people's comeback. A lot of people. There's no way you had to do your research.
Had to, man.
You had to. I'm sure when you went to the Rotary Club, you had your research done for them.
Yeah, I had to, man. Like
a different generation.
You just can't go into a location and not know the people, man. Like you have to know the environment because your environment dictates your requirement, right? When you go into that room and you observing everybody in there, you can see from their facial expressions, whether you get into them or connecting with them or not. You can see their eyes. Are they glued to you? Like when you go in there, you already got to know the history because you want to combine some of the things as far as what the organization has with your message. So a lot of these schools, some of the message that they have already, some of the rules, the guidelines, I take some of those and add it to the message itself. So therefore, I can implement some of the things that the teachers and staff want the students to remember and learn, to let them know like, hey, your teachers ain't the only ones talking about this. This is life in general. So you need to take this and run with it.
It's true. So what's the difference, man? What's the difference from when you were was it Master Sergeant E8 in the Army?
First Sergeant, yeah.
First Sergeant, I'm sorry. First Sergeant. And now, because don't think you weren't motivating people as a First Sergeant, because you were. Right. So is it same? Is it back when you were Army, was it more intensity driven than it is now? Or is it the same? Or what's the difference in how your technique is? You think you're more, but you have more finesse now? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So, in the military, man, people are forced to listen to you. When you are up there in rank, of course, if you're in charge of an organization, the people that are up under you have to listen to you. They have to, if you call them in and say, hey, we're going to do this training on this day, you get up there and say a couple of words, they have to give you the opportunity. They have to listen to you. You go into one of these schools or organizations, man, they ain't got to listen to you. They ain't got to listen to you at all, man. They can go ahead and draw a blank, talk to the person next to them, ignore you, whatever.
Play on their phone.
Yeah, they can do all these things, man. So you have to really take the opportunity to really learn your audience, really take the opportunity to study, everything that you have and find those key moments where you can make them laugh, entertain them, also educate them and inspire them, man. Like if you can do those three things, you got to hit. It's just like music. You got to hit. You educate them, make them laugh, entertain them, and inspire them. So,
yeah, that's the key. You got to entertain their ass. Yeah,
yeah. You'll lose them if you don't entertain them off the rip. You'll lose them off automatically, man. So I got a couple of funny moments, especially when I talk about my mom whooping my behind.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
when I talk about my mom whooping by my behind, have you ever experienced that before? Of course, everybody recall when they got their behind whooped so bad that they can still feel it to this day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's a funny moment for everybody because like, yeah, you know, so
Looking back, it's funny. Maybe at the time.
not at the time, right?
Yeah,
But now
right.
it is, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that was just one thing, man. And then I have a couple of other things, like, you know, some nuggets. I take you down, up, and then I hit you on that plateau and punch you in your face and knock you out, man. You'd be like, wow, he got me.
You got him. Then you hit the
Right.
That's awesome. That is awesome. But did you go to college while you were in the Army?
Yeah, I went to college and got my my associates and my bachelor's. I'm currently in school now for my master's.
For your master. Okay, I'm just impressed because a young Sylvester was pretty much almost a dropout. What changed? I know as you get older, you realize it's more important. Maybe you think that was more it, or you think your life lessons just made you that much smarter? Because life lessons teaches you a lot, though.
Yeah. So for me, man, my mom always told me, man, she told me three things. The world don't owe you nothing, but you owe yourself everything. She also told me that if you start something, you better finish it. And she also told me the third thing was it costs you nothing to be kind to people, you know? And when it came down to me starting college, once I started it, man, it was just like, this ain't for me. You know, I was still in that inner critic talking to myself. College ain't for me. I felt like I wasn't worthy enough to go to college. This was the reason I joined the military, because I thought I was too dumb for college. So why would I go to school, right? And so my brother, he graduated from the University of Georgia. And when I seen him graduate from the University of Georgia, because his background is not pretty either. And when I seen him do it, it kind of inspired me to do it. So I was like, man, like, let me see what this college is all about. Maybe I got what it takes. And I started going. And the next thing you know, when I wanted to give up, when I wanted to stop, when I wanted to quit, all I can think about was what my mother said. If you start it, you better finish it. Right. You don't start nothing and don't finish it. And that's what I did, man. And I got my associates. I built up that, you know, that courage, that confidence. And I was like, man, maybe I could go for my bachelor's. Got the bachelor's. And then the next thing you know, I was like, well, maybe I can get my master's degree. And now I'm working on my master's.
Good for you, man. That's great.
Thank you.
And I know your mom, I'm gonna give a little bit of tidbits in your latest book, but just touch on it. I have a question about your mom's health.
Yeah.
And she couldn't come to your retirement. She wasn't sure she's going to make your retirement. That I just think about that when you talk to, because later on you said you didn't have retirement because of COVID.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah.
Did she ever see you turn into the man you are now?
Yeah, no.
She didn't.
She didn't, man. Like where I am today, she didn't see none of it. So she died like in the process of me dropping my retirement package.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So I was deployed. Of course, in the book, I talk about me being deployed and going through marital dispute or hardship, because me and my wife, we was about to get a divorce, man.
Right.
We was at that point. Also the separation from my kids, you know, they was at an older age now. They understood, like, daddy, it's a possibility that daddy can't come back from where he is. So of course, you know, dealing with that. And then I got the word dealing with my mom. She suffered, she beat breast cancer, right?
Right.
So when I got the word while I was over there that, you know, she was in the hospital and that she was on the verge of possibly dying, I was like, man, no, man, like this is not, you know, I didn't ask for this, man. It was just one thing after another.
After another.
Yeah. So if you want to see me at a breaking point, that was it. That was my breaking point. And to be in charge of an organization, like, you got to be on top of your game as the leader of this organization. And I couldn't,
especially during the times you were a leader, you know, it was rough.
Yeah.
You know, they still had the war on terrorism going on. Yeah. It was squirrely.
So I broke down, man. I literally broke down, man. Like I was done. I told my commander, I said, hey, sir, like, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm experiencing. And I went to behavioral health, man. Like, for anybody out there who is trying to man up dealing with their behavioral health, take your behind to behavioral health, seek guidance. The first step is realizing, man, that, you know what I'm saying, that you need help. And then actually expressing yourself and letting it go, man. Stop trying to be this person,
Tough guy.
this tough guy, man. Instead of manning up, just open up, man. Like you will release so much that you're dealing with. And there's so many benefits behind seeking behavioral health, man. It's needed. I tell anybody, man, go seek behavioral health. I went and kicked down the door. I was at that point, man, where I wanted to, take my own life, man. I dealt with the hardships of having those suicide ideations, man, and it sucked. I dealt with those hardships of coming back home to nothing, man. Like when I say I was at my breaking point, because I never dealt with none of the issues that I had previously. Never dealt with my childhood trauma, never dealt with the divorce that I experienced previously, never dealt with the coming back home to nothing. The military, some leaders in the military frown upon you saying that you need to go seek help, mental health. You know what I'm saying? They see it as a sign of weakness whenever you want to go to those type of things, like you're trying to get out of crap, but it's needed, man. It's there for you. Don't let nobody talk you out of going to behavioral health if you need it. Everybody needs it. I think everybody needs it, brother. I'm not gonna sit here, stunt front. Everybody needs it.
I said this a few times, brother. I was not a proponent of mental health because I never dealt with anything for the longest time. I thought it was a thing that people were trying to get out of work for a while. But I was never a said guy that you can't go. But in the back of my mind,
like you just trying to get
until
out
it happened to me. Until it happened to me, and I was like, I changed my tune real quick.
Right.
And now I'm a total opposite now. If anybody needs anything with mental health, you go take your butt to mental health.
Right.
You take care of yourself. You can't do nothing for me unless you're taken care of.
Absolutely.
As a boss, you don't want your people screwed up trying to do their job. You want them to get fixed and then come do their thing. Definitely. That's just a shame. You've so leaps and bounds from where you started. Such humble beginnings, and not just humble. I mean financially. I'm talking about humble, just school, work, gangs, drugs, to what you are now, motivating young people.
Yeah.
To not be like you used to be, pretty much.
Absolutely, man.
And that's great.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And everything you're doing, and the thing about you, all this success, you're still humble.
Yeah, man. Got to.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate everything about it, man. Because we can sit here all day, man, and act like we on this high pedestal. But I believe in gratitude, man. Gratitude to me goes a long way. And I believe that everybody, you don't know who you impacting and you don't know what battles people are dealing with. But to say hello to, saying, how you doing? To really show them that they matter, to really take the opportunity and listen to somebody, man. Like it goes a long way, man. Everybody needs some type of encouragement to an extent, man. And I remain humble for the rest of my life, man, because it's not about me. I tell everybody, it's not about me, man. It's about the people that I impact on a daily basis, man. They mean to know that they're inspired behind the things that I've experienced and went through, because some people wouldn't share half the things that I shared. Some people wouldn't, they'll sit there and act like they the toughest person on earth, when in all actuality, they're not. Yep. And I just feel like, man, everybody needs that sense of encouragement, man, to know that they're not by themselves. Because I wish I had that. I wish I had those people that, would come to me and say, hey, man, look, it's okay not to be okay. You know what I'm saying? Take a knee. Yeah. It's okay to take a rest. Don't stay there, though. Do not stay there. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like when you stay there, you're just going to fall back into that comfort zone and you can never develop and grow. So don't stay there, but it's okay not to be okay. Your best days won't always look like it did whenever you was at your highest peak. Sometimes they're going to look crappy. Sometimes they're going to look bad, man, but you got to look back at that and say, hey, I made it through that. I can make it through this.
Yeah, right. For anybody out there that, because, I think in the military, I think you could have possibly get a lot of motivational speakers from the military, because it's kind of what they're used to hearing. And I can see a lot of speakers coming out of the military. What would you tell them, man? What would you tell a guy that say, because honestly, motivational speaking has kind of interested me for a while. What would you tell somebody that's considering it?
Yeah, man, I would tell them to just find your niche, man. Find what you feel is like provides you a sense of purpose. Something that's, that you can speak on, man, for hours and not have to, find yourself writing with a pen or anything like that. Like I can talk about adversity for days. I'll go on and on how to, resolve an issue. You really got to find that niche. But then I also say, like I said before, find that mentor. Find that mentor, somebody that's been there, done that, successful behind it, and make sure that you really connect with them to the point that you figure out everything that you can do in order to get out there, man. Like it's not something that is not lucrative starting out because nobody know who you are. Right. You're not a trusted resource. I know when Eric Thomas did that whole motivational speech about you got to want it as bad as you can breathe. Mm-hmm. As you know, that was one of the greatest speeches that was ever heard. People still playing that to this day. But as soon as he did that and it went over 1 million views, he still couldn't get booked at no schools.
Really?
They still wouldn't book him to come in their school and speak, you know what I'm saying, or their college or anything like that. So it's going to be trial and error. You're going to find yourself at a point where you want to throw in the towel and give up because you're not receiving the benefits behind it as far as income. But you got to have a love for it, man. If you don't find that niche and have a love for it, you'll give up. You got to think about the why instead of the what. And most people don't. That's why most people don't make it. That's why I'm still in this right now, man, because I think about the why. Who I'm impacting. What am I changing? How am I able to do this and continue to make sure that I'm able to impact, inspire, and encourage others to be better than what they are today? If you just think about the what as far as being a motivational speaker, oh man, I get paid to do this. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Got it. Please let everybody know how they can reach out to you.
Oh, yeah, man. So you can go to my website, man, at sylvesterjenkins.com. You can find all my information on there, whatever you need. I'm on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. I just started this TikTok, man. My kids. I'm still learning that piece, but you can find me on LinkedIn. All my books on Audible, iTunes, Amazon, Kobo, and also Google Play.
Man, you're everywhere. If you can't find it, it means you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But SylvesterJenkins.com, you can get in contact with me.
Awesome. Hey, brother, thank you so much for coming on my show, man. Well, mine and Jamie's show. Sorry. I've been missing her. Now I'm just taking over. Yeah. But thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, I just want to sit here, man, and encourage the both of you guys, man, because I think it's so phenomenal what you guys are doing, the E14 podcast, man, because it took a lot in order to just jump out, and do your own thing, man. And so I just want to encourage you guys, man, to keep doing what y'all doing, because I know it's challenging, and especially y'all just moved too, right?
Yeah.
Y'all just PCS and just transition. So, man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Y'all are inspiring and encouraging and giving a voice to, like you said in the back, to the sailors of this world, man, the people who serve and defend this country, man. So I appreciate you guys.
No, thank you so much for that. And we're about to close out, but if you don't mind hanging out for a second.
Oh, no.
After we're done. All right. Hey, so everybody, we just had Sylvester Jenkins III on. Not only is he a war vet, he is an author, motivational speaker. He's a man of many talents. So please look him up. He's always gotten back with me when I hit him up. So please look him up if you have any questions. And with that, we wish you fair winds and following seas.